Hi, I'm Tim Rose. I played Admiral Akbar in Return of the Jedi, The Force Awakens, and finally and sadly, The Last Jedi. You've been listening to the Regular Joe's podcast. And remember, it's a trap.
To movies and toys and TV shows, comics and collecting and superheroes. There's no end to the useless stuff they know. But don't call them geeks, they're just regular Joes.
Welcome to the Regular Joe's podcast. I'm Dave Pisani.
I'm Barry Kay.
And I'm Todd Pleasant.
As we record this, there's a number of days before the rise of Skywalker. I'm not exactly sure what it is because I didn't figure it out before.
7.
It's
seven.
now the 11th.
7.
And we're seeing it on... It's really 8. We're seeing it
It's
on
8.
the 19th.
Okay, 8. I'm thinking of it as a week from tomorrow. So it's 8.
Wow, week from tomorrow. It's been a long haul.
Yeah, and this next week is going to be really... we have to be very diligent this next week about avoiding...
Blinders, everybody.
Yep.
Now, it's not coming out in other countries first, is it?
I don't
hate
think
when
so.
they do that.
No.
Yeah.
Well, we also have The Expanse to start watching, so we can distract ourselves.
I feel like...
Never. I'm not going to make it
so-
to any of this.
I feel like I gotta figure out, as long as everything's ending, and I feel like everything's ending this week. All the sort of current shows are ending this week.
Mid-season, yeah. Yep.
So next week, I figure I'll figure out that.
We started a rewatch of... We were intending to rewatch all the Star Wars movies, and we made it through the 3 prequels, and I don't know how we're going to have any time to watch anything other than those 3 before I see
I have
Rise
no
of
time
Skywalker.
to
Those
do
are
it,
really,
and
really, those are the only 3 that matter.
I guess that's true. I guess that is true.
I mean, in normal circumstances, the one that preceded this would be the one to watch, but there's no freaking way I'm watching
My
it.
wife wants
Okay,
to see it because she's only seen it the one time, and she said, I really want to see it before we... So maybe that'll be the one we rewatch if we can find a day. I don't know. I might not.
So you're choosing her over us, is what you're saying.
Well, the reason that I get to hang with you guys as much as I do is because I chose her. Not every woman would have allowed... I'm not like Shatner. I'm not going to divorce my wife.
Well, yes, I was going to say. But I would also argue that if you could also be alone and in your basement talking to us, too. So
This is true,
Yeah,
but
that'd
but
be
I...
better.
But I... yeah,
In fact,
I will
often
say,
think
in case...
given the 3
in
of
case-
us and our interests, we're kind of beating the odds here.
In case she actually
Alone in our
listens to this,
basement.
which she never does, my wife is the reason that I get to hang out with you guys as much as I do. Trust me, she's very supportive. Most
And
women
we
I
appreciate
could have
her.
married wouldn't have.
We are more than beating the odds. We have 6 wives between us.
That's right. Yes.
and I've only had one. So do the math, people.
I meant all of us collectively,
Yeah.
so we're doing pretty good. Let me ask you this. If Karen said, hey, I'd really like to watch Last Jedi before we see the other movie, what's the answer?
Nothing stopping you, dear.
Good answer. Good answer.
It's on Disney Plus. Have at it.
Yep.
I just hit my thing. All right, we got a lot to cover, and we're going to skip random, but we just do want to say one quick thing. I didn't... Barry and I, Monday night, went to see one of Barry's favorite people.
One of my
Geddy
all-time
Lee
heroes in this world.
Yeah.
Geddy Lee from Rush.
From Rush. So not only is he in Barry's favorite band, one of my favorite bands too, but he is a collector. So he put out this book of bases. So he collects bases, he collects watches, he collects baseball memorabilia. And when we were getting our thing signed, I said, hey, obviously you have the collector gene. What is the most obscure thing you collect? He goes, I don't know. But for a while I was collecting Coke bottles from around the world, I guess, as he went around the world. So he's definitely a collector.
Yeah, it's in him. Definitely in him. And he's just the epitome of cool. He's just such a cool dude. And for what it's worth, I know you said it while we were there, but I don't go to a lot of book signings, but we clearly go to a lot of autograph things. And this was like the most well-run thing.
Very civilized.
It was.
That's great.
It's the perfect word for it. It's civilized. They had chairs for you to wait in. I figured we'd be standing in line for hours, but there were chairs
in the rain because it was raining out. It was in a Barnes and Noble on 17th Street, Union Square, which is a very big place, 4 stories. And I've been there, but I had no concept. I'm like, oh, I'm sure we'll be outside or maybe but they probably had I counted, they had like 300 chairs set up.
And they
very
pulled you
well
up
organized.
one row at a time. Everybody got on line one row at a time. You got your book signed, and they let the next row. I mean, it was.
Oh, that's great.
It was.
That's great.
Just such an well-organized machine they had. They had a woman standing next to Getty who would take your phone and take your pictures for you, so you didn't have to fumble with your phone. It was just super
great
super.
because-
I wonder if
well-run.
this is like how things are done in the real world. I think we're so used to going to these things that are basically run by volunteers that, when you're actually doing it as a business, maybe you think about it a little bit more. But
they do a lot of events at these Barnes and
Yeah.
Nobles. I mean, I think around the country, but certainly in New York, there's a couple of them. They do a ton of events, so they've really got it to
Right.
where it's
Yeah, and they clearly
very
made
well
money
run.
that night because there probably were 500 people there waiting to get books signed, and the book itself is like $100. So it's not like it's a cheap.
no, it's great though. It's
So
good
yeah,
you got
but it was
done.
great. And he was super engaging. He was talking to everybody. He was fist bumping with people. He was, taking pictures. It was great.
Yeah, we were there. We were probably in the middle, if not further back a little from the middle. We were done by 8 o'clock.
Yeah, I met you
yeah.
there around 6.
I mean, I
and
sat there for 2 hours before.
It started
but-
at 7. He actually got there before 7 and started before 7. And we were out of there at 8 o'clock. So
Yeah.
we were like, oh, is it going to be
Okay.
Shatner time? But no, he got there early and said, well, I'm here. I might as well
Oh,
start
that's
signing.
super.
Yeah, it was great.
Yep. Speaking of well-run machines, Fanboy Collectibles, check them out. It's holiday time, and there may still be time to order something. I don't know.
Yeah,
There's all kinds of stuff.
I was speaking to Troy the other day, and he has restocked after recent shipments to me, in which I believe I cleared out his warehouse. So,
You sent pictures to us of the boxes piled
oh my
up
God,
at your house.
it was
so.
crazy. I had to take the hand truck to receiving to get the stuff. Seriously, it was. Yes, I have a receiving department at my house, but no, they come to work, and like I said, it was just crazy. So.
Tons of stuff up in stock and pre-order. There's a bunch of Diamond Marvel statues. There's a ton of pops. I may have to get the John Wick and his dog pop. That's actually pretty funny. Batman stuff, Venom, a lot of these Diamond statues. Scooby-Doo, if you need them. I'm seeing most of this for the first time because I haven't had a chance. The fat Mandalorian heavy infantry dude. There's a half-naked girl. Everything you need. Pops, Hot Toys, Sideshow, all that stuff. Check them out, fanboycollectibles.com.
I can
Check 'em
personally
out.
endorse the Tweeterhead Batman, in fact, the variant one, which just came out. Very, very cool. That's now on my shelf. And another Batman statue that I'll talk about the next time we do What's in the Box, which is
Cool.
one
So
of
check
my
that.
favorite things ever. So it's just barely see it there.
Oh, sweet.
Uh-huh.
So
All right, check those guys out. All right, so we're gonna cover a lot of ground here. I guess we're gonna do Crisis. It's now there's 5 parts of the CW Crisis on Infinite Earths. 3 have aired.
And
has everyone
I have
all
seen
3?
2 so far.
You have seen 2. So
I've
I
seen
guess
3.
we'll maybe just touch on it. I've seen 3 also.
yeah, I think if
touch
we
on
talk
it
about the
generally.
I don't think we have to spoil it significantly, but I think we should talk about some of the cool kind of Easter eggy things. And
Well, that to me is all the spoilers.
okay, well, I mean, I was talking about plot wise, but
Well, there is no plot. That's the point.
that was part of the point that I was going to get to. This is really
Let me ask you this.
a running
they-
excuse to get to touch on every single aspect of the DC universe that they can touch on.
if they took out what we're calling Easter eggs, there'd be almost nothing there.
Yeah. So,
and that's a shame because the crossovers have been great. I mean, the story is like there's maybe across 3 hours. There's maybe half an hour's worth of plot.
Yeah,
if you're lucky.
But it's I think this is what, if you read Crisis on Infinite Earths, they crammed every character that DC owned into those 12 comics, and this is what they had to do it. So, I think I think we're probably going to see more story in the last 2 chapters.
I'm hoping I was thinking today, I wish we saw... Oh, I know what I wish we saw. I wish we saw Sam and Dean from Supernatural in there. I thought we were going to jam them in there. Okay. That'd be great.
I love seeing Burt Ward in the opening 30 seconds of it. Yeah. That was cool.
Holy Red Skies of Death.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a kid in episode 3 who has been a minor character in Supernatural, and I thought, maybe he's going to play the same character. That would be funny.
I was surprised in the first episode to see...
That's a dog barking that we're not going to be able to stop barking.
Yeah. No. I was surprised to see the kid that plays new Robin in Titans in there.
Yeah, that was interesting. I think, Dave, what do you think that was stock footage? That really kind of looked like stock footage that they just...
Oh, yeah, it totally was. It was it was Hawk, and it was new Robin.
Right, but totally I was just surprised because I didn't think that those 2 universes crossed over in any way.
Well, it's a different universe.
Different universe. So that was Earth 9.
But is it one of the Earths, or is it what?
It's a different Earth.
It's one of the Earths.
So that was Earth 9. Why Earth 9? You could figure out why most of them were years.
Yeah, I'm
wondering why. Is that Berlanti's 9th show?
Are there 9 Titans? It's probably something. I'm sure there's something to it.
Is Titans a Berlanti show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. I didn't realize that. That was why I was surprised that he was there.
Yeah. I will say a couple things that, I think Brandon Routh killed it as Kingdom Come-ish Superman. I almost watching this, I was almost thinking it's almost too bad he wasn't Superman in Supergirl.
That dude, Tyler Hoechlin or whatever his name is, does not look impressive next to
does not.
Ralph.
He's too
short. I don't
like
either him or Lois Lane in their roles. I don't think either of them are cast properly.
I actually really like Lois Lane. I think
oh my gosh, I think she's horrible.
What is your problem with her?
I think she's a little too goofy. Not goofy. I don't like her look, of course. I'm going to go there first.
Yeah, because you do. Yeah.
But I don't know. I really liked Erica Durant's, not only because she was good looking, but she was very strong. I don't get the strong, take no crap attitude from this woman that I like in Lois Lane. Amy Adams, Lois Lane, Margot Kidder, Lois Lane, Erica, Lois Lane.
Okay.
I just don't. She seems a little. Believe me, the show that they're going to come out with the 2 of them about them having a kid. That's at this point. That's a hard pass for me.
Speaking of which, one of my favorite things in this whole thing was the Monitor trying to monologue and the baby keep crying. It's just like.
Well, I just love that they give him to Mick, and Mick is the one that can calm the baby down.
Oh yeah, but I mean, it's just yeah, but the because it's so hard to listen to the dialogue in this and take it seriously, and the fact that they went that way, I thought was great. I think there's been some really good stuff in it. I love seeing Kevin Conroy be Batman. That was really interesting. They kind of reached out into every different universe and plucked a little bit. And
Robert Wall, we saw, who was in '89 Batman. I mean, it was a little like Earth '89 was '89 Batman. Right. Earth '66 was Robin, Burt Ward Batman.
There's a plan to it. So,
but you know what? Yeah. I mean, I think that there are a lot of kids watching this that aren't going to pick up on a lot of, like my son. I was watching it with Josh. And he's never seen the Brandon Routh Superman movie. So when I said to him, you know he played Superman in a movie, he had no idea. I pulled it off the shelf, and he was shocked to know that. So I think that there's a lot of stuff that, if the kids that are watching it do any kind of like online like reading after the fact, they're going to find out all of this stuff that they missed.
One of the funny things is the Superman costume they put him in had the like high-waisted 50s Superman trunks. Okay. And in the 2006 Superman movie, the cringiest part of the whole thing is that they like reduce the trunks, and it's like it just looks weird in every time you see him. But yeah, again, I thought he did a great job
in the Superman outfit.
Yeah. So it was kind of cool to see Smallville and Clark Kent again.
I would like to see him dressed up as Superman.
I kind of would like to have too, but it's also kind of neat that they stayed with that. Never really put him in the suit thing.
Because they said they'd never put him in the suit.
Right. And they stuck to that. So and that, I could actually accept the story the way they presented it. So yeah. I will say John Cryer's Lex Luthor is more annoying than anything, but it's
not more annoying than Jesse Eisenberg.
No, I'm not saying than any other Luthor, but I'm saying he's just very annoying.
More annoying than anything else you're seeing on this show? I mean, I texted you guys. I started it, and I was 5 minutes into the Supergirl episode, and I was questioning how you guys can watch that on a weekly basis. That show is dreadful.
I gotta say, I think the regular Supergirls are probably worse than what you saw on this.
They probably are, yes.
I mean, we were texting back and forth about the newest plot line, and it's ridiculous.
It is.
I mean, well, we don't need to dig into that here. Cause it's
so anyways... again, it's interesting. We're going to see what happens. There's in
5 weeks.
In 5 weeks, one way or another, this landscape will be changing rapidly. Drastically. At the end of Crisis on Infinite Earths in the comics, everything merged into one Earth. So it ended with one Earth where all like history kind of combined and no one remembered having there ever been other Earths. So
it would simplify a lot of this universe if they did that.
It would simplify it, but
but it also they have the opportunity to sort of loosely touch on things because it doesn't happen in the main universe,
right?
Which I still don't understand why they won't ever show Batman in a Batman costume. Is it a legal thing, or is they just don't want to put that character into this?
Technically, they showed Batman in a Batman costume last season in Titans. He was kind of in like fog and stuff like that.
But that was
They did the same thing they did in Birds of Prey
with Superman,
right? Oh yeah, no, they have no problem with Superman. They did the same thing they did in Birds of Prey back in the day. They had him like stand in the shadows and talk in a raspy voice. I guess I don't really get that. So, I wonder if it's no. I mean, they own they own all of it.
Yeah, Warner Brothers owns it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Maybe it's just a Warner Brothers thing where they just feel like that they can't touch that.
I would feel both Batman and Superman would fall under that. We never see Wonder Woman at all. You don't even have mention of her. I mean, no, we do have mention of her.
But in Titans, they talk about Themyscira.
Yeah, they talk about her.
Yeah.
I do have to say, and I specifically noticed it in this. The Ruby Rose, who plays Batwoman, is definitely... I gave her a hard time in the beginning in the first episode because she was not a great actress. She's definitely come along, I find. I think she's a decent actress. I don't think she was comfortable with the role, and I think she is now. Yeah, and that's what I think. That's what it was. But I definitely see improvement. Especially
Isn't it a little weird that she takes the whole helmet off and all the hair and everything is part of the helmet?
But that's how it is. I mean, that is how it is. It's like it's a
That's how it is. Where in a comic?
In the comics too. She's got short hair in the comics. That's not her hair.
The hair's on the outside. But the funny thing is,
but would she look too much like Catwoman if she didn't? Is that why they're trying to? Because
no, Barry. It's to throw off people. I mean, people are basically looking for a redhead. Like Batgirl. I mean, her hair sticks out the back of her costume. They're looking. This is it's just part of.
I guess.
Yeah.
It just felt
she
really
also did
cheesy
it
to me.
if in the Batwoman show, everyone just they see a silhouette of Batman at night and they're like, oh, it's Batman. She put the red hair on so they knew it wasn't Batman.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that makes more sense to me, but
and
she's doing a good job.
Dave, that is an invention for the show, and it makes more sense than what they've done in the comics. So, yeah.
Yeah, if anything else, it's reinforcing for me why I'm glad I'm only watching one of these miniseries. I'm enjoying. I like all the cameos and all that, and I'm having fun with it. But I don't think I could be watching 4 or 5 of these things a week.
It's tough. This year it's tough.
We'll see how it goes after this. I actually think Batgirl's. I keep doing that. Batwoman is improving. They got to get past the sister.
Oh, please. Can we just have an episodic thing? I'm sick of the storylines. Every single
this
show.
is like, I think they figured out after the first couple seasons of Arrow that this works, and they just can't give up these arcs. And if they would just do mini arcs.
But the arcs are pain. The Dr. Suresh, Alice.
Yeah.
It's just the slab side prison last season on Arrow. Lena Luthor had her feelings hurt, so she's going to damage the world. Like, oh my God! Like, it's just endless.
What's the deal with that brainy guy on Supergirl? He's maybe the most annoying character.
He's from the future.
That's Brainiac. He's actually he's
Brainiac. He's like an android or not? Or, I
kind
don't know.
of. He's like It's a little murky, but Daryl could explain this much better. Basically, his race is where Brainiac 5 came from, or he is Brainiac 5. His race is where Brainiac, the Superman villain, came from. Brainiac is mostly like cybernetic, and they were like the race that was enslaved by him. And anyways, but he's got like cybernetic implants, and he's super smart, and
he doesn't look like that. He just projects that.
Yeah, exactly. That's not his actual appearance. He's actually blue with little glowy bumps in his head. So
let's move on because we're going long. So let us know what you're thinking of the first 3 episodes of Crisis. It's not back for another 5 weeks, as we said. So we'll see. They're going to wrap up with two more things. Okay, short trek. We're moving right along.
Okay.
So there was a short trek that came out a couple weeks ago. Todd must have liked it because he's actually dressed like Captain Picard.
I'm actually wearing my Captain Pike uniform. Yes, yeah. So,
did you have one?
What's that?
Did you have this?
No, I actually just got this a couple days ago. So,
oh my God, is it the Ruby's one?
No, this is actually from a company. There's a company in China that makes a bunch of knockoff stuff.
Yeah.
This was under $35.
Really?
And I mean, you can't really see the detail, but they did a really good job with it.
How's the color? Is the color okay?
The color's perfect.
It is.
There's it's good. It's really well made, and the pants were like $30 also. The pants are really good. I got an extra large top, and I need a large bottom. The pants are very roomy. In fact, I was thinking about having you take a look at them and see if you could take them in, but it's great.
I'll get my chalk out and I'll measure you like they measure pants.
You'll grab his just like
exactly. But like I said, all the details really good on it, and I got it on eBay. So I was looking at it, and I said there was return. They took returns, and it was shipped from in the United States, and I said, hey, for like $35, and you try it and see how bad it is, and it's actually really good.
Is that your badge or their badge?
This is my badge. I've had one of the Discovery or the Enterprise badges on back order for a long time, so don't have it yet.
Huh.
They sent the badge with it, but it's a little small and it's a pin on, and I don't want to stick pins in it. So
yeah. Anyway, enough.
So back
about
to the
that.
short track.
Short track was very predictable but fun. It was it was nice to be on the Enterprise. Or were they on the Enterprise?
I just think we're just enjoying being with those characters and in that environment more than anything.
Yeah. I mean,
I think within 30 seconds you all kind of I think we probably all figured out what was going on.
You kind of figured out what was going on. I think this and the previous 2 were trial balloons to see what they could do and what kind of response they would get to a Pike Spock number one series. And
I don't know how they know what response they're going to get, though. I guess by comments, or
I think they want to keep the idea out there while they weigh their options.
Yeah.
I liked it. I like everything they've done with it. You know,
it feels like classic Star Trek with an updated flair.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
yeah. And I think it's a lot more saleable to somebody who's not deeply steeped in Star Trek, and it's very approachable.
And you don't have to go, oh shit, what are we going to do? Let's throw them 900 years in the future at the end of it, because they don't know what to do with themselves. So
Right. And we'll see.
No, a Pike series, hopefully they do it. I mean...
Yeah. So, but yeah, this like I said, I hope they'll do more with them, and they could also film these right after the Discovery season, for all we know. But
I think they did. I mean, I know we talked about this a few weeks back. You were speculating that they rebuilt everything, or they took it out of storage. I think they just shot all this stuff at the same time.
I don't think they rebuilt stuff, but I think they.
Knowing the way TV production works, this was probably something that they tacked on at the end before they struck the sets. But I'm sure they kept them all to just.
Yeah.
Those are expensive sets. They want to get the most out of them.
If not, I would buy and live in the Enterprise bridge set. So.
If they're getting rid of it?
Yeah. So.
I know where you could do that, upstate.
Yeah. So, but anyways, like I said, it was good. I think they've all been good. They've also been very different. And I like that too. So
they've been clever. Yeah, I've enjoyed them. They're. I wish they'd do more. And now I guess there's some animated ones coming up.
So there's two animated ones. So. Are there more live action ones coming before the season? Do we know?
I think there's 2 more animated ones, and then the season starts. So
okay.
Yeah.
When is the season? Is it January?
No, it's actually Picard starts, and then
Picard starts,
and then this will follow after that.
Picard starts January 23rd. I want to say.
Yep.
Interesting. So check that out too. Okay, moving right along. Unless anyone's got anything else to say about that. Mandalorian episode 5. I guess we're going to talk about this every week, so bear with us. There's only 8 of them.
Which makes me sad.
That there's only 8?
There's only 8, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so Dave and I talked a little bit about this the other night, and so I don't know. I mean, I know
whoa, back up. How is that possible? This is clearly not allowed.
I know. We couldn't just sit
have a breach
in silence
of etiquette.
for 2 hours.
I'm just saying.
It wasn't in front of a microphone.
We still, nevertheless, go ahead. Continue.
Well, Dave, you should start, I think.
Oh, by all means, please catch me up. Go ahead, yeah.
No, well, first of all, it was probably one that had the most recall. I mean, he's on Tatooine, whatever. He's in Mos Eisley. He's in the cantina. I mean, he's, Docking Bay 35. If you want to buy a Docking Bay 94 sign, go see our pals at Regal Robot. Free plug. So there's a lot going on there. I mean, and I think it would be heavy-handed if it was like the first episode. He's clearly traveling around, and that's fine. Yes. So he just happened to go
and looking for places to hide. And we all know that Tatooine is, the farthest from the center of anything in that universe.
It's a hive of scum and villainy. It's like
and if there's a center of the universe, this planet is the furthest from.
Furthest from. That's right.
My critique that we talked about was, and they should be doing way better than this. The acting for some of the secondary characters was just, the woman was horrible, and that kid who played the other bounty hunter was not much better. They're spending $10 to $12 million an episode. There's a zillion actors out there. I don't know why they couldn't get people who were better. And I think at least the woman is like a friend of Filoni's or something, but
and she's also a pretty well-known comedian, and I think she was probably playing the character they had her play. I didn't,
cheap. And I've read some people thinking the same thing. I don't know.
It didn't bother me nearly as much as it bothered you, and I've watched it twice so far, and I see what you're saying, and I think more so with him than with her. I think she was playing. So she was playing the quirky person who spends all her time with pit droids, and
she was playing the B. Arthur in the holiday special. That's the vibe I got off
almost.
her.
But I thought he was
got like
much
the
worse.
Tig Notaro character from Discovery. I think I told you that. She's just this like crusty, grumpy, engineer woman. So.
But I'll be honest, though. I think Tig Notaro did a better job with it.
Far better. That's what I'm saying. And it was
Star Trek.
And the kid was weak too. I mean, is this the George Lucas way of making film? I think it's like all this other stuff, and let's not worry too much about the acting.
Well, here's the weird thing, though, and I would like to hear if they ever talk about it, why, but they've been hiring a ton of comedians to play these bit parts. I mean, this is like the fourth comedian that's been a guest star on the show.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm not sure why they keep going to comedians, but they do.
Yeah.
That's weird. I mean,
I think this was the weakest episode so far. I don't think there was.
The plot was.
That's what I'm saying.
Really.
I don't think there was anything in this that was remotely surprising at any time. I also think the whole like just randomly leaving the kid behind, and then later being like, "Oh, okay, she'll take care of the kid" thing just seemed very out of character, given like where he was and that he knew people were after him and all that.
I agree with that.
I also think he expected the kid not to be able to get off the ship, but he's shown
based
by now
on
that,
what he's seen before.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's seen
what I'm
by
saying.
now.
It
pops up everywhere.
It seemed like they kind of shoehorned this episode in. Now, the person who we see near Ming-Na Wen's body at the end, were we supposed to think that was somebody, or that's just foreshadowing?
Or is she dead? Is she not dead? I mean, it seems strange.
Oh no, she's dead. It's just like
you think, but you put her in this for like 5 minutes. That seems a little thin.
They're putting a lot of people in this for short periods of time, though.
All right, you going to get over IG-11 or not?
Maybe
no. I paid $250 for the goddamn figure.
So okay, maybe she's a clone, and we're just going to keep running into her.
I'll tell you who I think it is, and it's not Boba Fett. I can tell you that. I mean, it's not.
No, he's
Boba Fett.
died like a bitch.
I think it's the Giancarlo Esposito character we have not seen yet.
We haven't seen that dude yet either. That's the thing.
I think it's going to be him, but
I just found. I mean, like you put Ming, who's clearly can act circles around every single one of these people, including Pedro, and you take her out in 5 minutes. I mean,
I will agree with that. It was kind of odd.
I love Ming, so I would say more of her the better. But for me, and I'm not disagreeing with anything you guys have said. I probably is the weakest of the 5 episodes, but I probably had more fun watching this one than any other one so far. No, put your goddamn Crystal Skull down. I am not Crystal Skulling. It was like reliving my entire childhood in 30 minutes. If you guys could only at home see what they just did with their crystal skulls.
So
it was but the ship.
How disappointed were you that there's no one in the cantina? There was like
I love that. I love that. No,
it's funny
when he walked in, the droid detector was gone, and then they pan and there's a droid working the bar, and then literally R5D4 rolls past with his motivator fixed. Mm-hmm. I loved everything about it.
Now, that was all fun stuff. I almost feel like it's suffering a little bit of what Crisis is suffering is, did you jam all this cool stuff in and then the story was very secondary? And
I think if this had been the first episode, like you said, or the second episode, I might have felt that way. I was okay with the fact that I've loved everything about the show so far, and this one just crammed so much of what I love. Just that shot of him coming into Tatooine, it literally looked like they took the planet plate from episode 4 and reused it. I mean, it was identical. It was just beautiful to see it.
They just did some stuff that's out of character already.
Were the FX of them on the speeder bike supposed to look retro, or was it just a little like not? Really
I will say, considering two things. One, you mentioned it before. They've claimed to have spent $10 million an episode on this show for a half-hour show. Like, that's a lot of money, and for the speeder effects to look the way they looked was, yeah, I'll give you that.
And
But
that's
the
where, like I
dewback
said,
looked
I don't
great.
know whether they were trying to make it look like,
Maybe they were.
trying to look like it looked in the prequels, because that's what it looked like. It looked a little like, oh, we're better at the technology, but we're not there yet.
I loved seeing the sand people. I love the
I
dewback.
love the fact that the sand people are like, oh my god, sand people, and like, oh, I'm making a deal with them.
Yeah.
Because all we saw was sand people either killing people or getting killed.
Those pit droids look exactly like the 3 pit droids from Watto's shop. I didn't look to see if they're like literally the same ones, but I love that they pulled them in from the prequel era stuff. I love that I was waiting to see them land in Docking Bay 94. I was glad it was a different docking bay, but it had the same look to it. I loved it. I loved it. I'm glad it wasn't some other desert planet, that they actually made it Tatooine. They didn't go to Mos Espa or Mos something. Went to Mos Eisley. Like, they owned it, and that was one of the things I liked about it.
I agree. I totally enjoyed that. I wish they'd be concentrating on some other, like, the acting is just weak.
Yeah.
And this was the one Filoni directed too.
Yeah, he directed the pilot or the premiere episode. He directed and wrote this one, and he's directing the finale, but he didn't write the finale.
Sure, whatever you say.
Yeah. It's
Because you're very garbled.
Am I?
and he's frozen.
Okay.
You're frozen.
Trust me, it'll be good on my recording.
Yeah, I don't know. Is he only a guy who can only direct cartoons? I don't know. I mean, and I like the dude, but
I don't think it's did he write it also?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I would blame it on the writing.
But he directed the pilot, and we love the pilot.
I think this was an episode that was very dependent on the gee whiz factor of where it was and what was happening, and the story was so secondary or tertiary that we weren't supposed to care. And I think the bar is too high at this point to do that.
But if they give us 8 episodes and they only give us one of these, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. But if these people can act, then it's the director's fault. And if they're bad actors, then it's the casting people's fault. But I do put this woman is supposedly a voice actor and a comedian. You got to be able, and she has her own show on like TBS.
Yeah.
You should be able to get a better performance out of her. And I put that on the director.
Yeah.
I mean, and I like Filoni, but come on.
Do we know the kid from anywhere?
I didn't recognize him, no.
Okay. So, yeah. Anyways,
But
like
he was clearly meant to
still
be a
fun.
Han Solo type, right? I mean, he was
sitting in the seat.
with his foot up on the table.
Yeah. I mean, they should have had that Aldridge or whatever that guy's name is.
Alden Ehrenreich.
Yeah.
Like, bring in some guest stars that, I guess they are bringing in guest stars, but they could be doing better with that. But it's still fun. If it wasn't fun, too, and it had those issues, then it would really be like, geez.
Yeah.
But there's enough to make it watchable.
Yeah.
Moving right along.
Okay.
Trailers. There, for whatever bizarre reason, there's a lot of trailers are out right now for movies that will not be out for quite some time, and I don't know why they're doing that.
I think they're afraid that when the Star Wars movie comes out, people will just like stop thinking about any other movies, and they want to get buzz going before then.
But none of the soonest this movie that comes out is like, at least the 4 we're talking about is the middle of the year, May to the middle of the year.
I think May, June,
It's just bizarre. Like, I just find it interesting. Unless, like, are they out now because these are the trailers they're going to throw in front of Star Wars?
That's kind of the other thing I was thinking of. I was thinking we're going to see short versions of these trailers in the theater. So
No, the trailers are always full length in the theaters. They're 2-minute trailers usually.
really,
Yeah.
Yeah. There's just the TV commercials.
Now, I'll say this, and I don't know what order you want to go in, but the Bond trailer felt like 5 minutes to me, and it felt like I was seeing the whole movie. But
Let's go with the Bond trailer. The Bond thing, I think, there's a lot of talk about what's going on with Bond and where he is and all that. So I think if you were sort of really into it, it'd be a little more meaningful than. And I'm not saying I am super into it. I mean, there's a lot going on between.
Well, I told you the other night I thought that the trailer was boring. I really didn't get much out of it.
Did you see the last one?
I will admit I have only seen one Daniel Craig Bond movie.
Okay, so Barry is immaterial to this argument, this discussion. I actually think.
First of all, then you totally are not valid. Which one did you see?
I've seen Casino Royale. I've intended to see the others. I've just never gotten around to them.
That's the best one.
Okay,
but
it is the best one.
This is very much tied into the last movie. I mean, the dude Blofeld. If you remember Blofeld from is in it. So you're irrelevant.
Right.
That's correct.
And also the last one was kind of tied into Skyfall. So I think there's more a through line in these films than there haven't been in any other Bond series. And I think he's he's closing in the end of his career, and I think we're supposed to see that progression. And I kind of like that. It's a different thing for the Bond films. Previously they've been all like, okay, let's reset and start over, and so that you don't notice so many of the plots are the same. This has been, I think a little different.
Yeah, the guys even in Casino Royale have led us to Blofeld.
Yeah.
I mean, so they definitely had a through line through all of this.
I kind of like it. I look at them as chapters as opposed to just kind of standalone things. I'm interested to see what happens in this one. If you found nothing else interesting, the point when the Gatling guns come out, the
Aston
Martin's headlamp apertures, fantastic. It's just
that was good. I give you that.
Shooting everyone, it's awesome.
Oh my god, that's just awesome. Fantastic. So
yeah.
And of course, sitting in the car while they're just machine gunning it, and he's just calmly sitting there as the bullets aren't.
How many of those cars has he been through? In the Daniel Craig era, he's been through several of those already.
Yeah, they've got to be building them, but it's.
I'm just saying for him, but it's cool that they use new ones and old ones, and then he pulls the tarp off of something else. I don't know really what that was. Yeah. Some black car. That may
also
be another
interesting in this one. There's. The love interest is brought over from the previous movie, which
that's in theory that is the what's her face character, Emma Peel, whatever her name is,
right? Yeah,
Tracy from Majesty's Secret Service. That's sort of the last one was loosely tied into that, and that's supposed to be her. She died in the original version of this, so it's interesting that, they were in theory together at the end of the last movie. So.
I also like how you're kind of seeing, they've developed the other characters, and then you see they've all got their own arcs too. As supporting characters, they're not just the see them 2 minutes each, installment thing. So, yeah.
Well, how about this? I'll commit to watching all the Daniel Craig ones in advance of when this one comes out, so that when it comes out,
I think you should.
I will see it.
So
I think you should start with the beginning. You have 22 movies to watch.
I've seen probably 3/4 of those. I just haven't seen all of those.
Yeah.
Listen, I've been honest about it. Bond was never really my thing. 6 years ago, we did a whole Bond series. I watched like 12 Bond movies for that.
That's because I was sitting in that stupid chamber watching Bond movies for weeks on end. Remember that?
Yep.
Anyway, okay. Next, Todd, pick one.
Wonder Woman.
Okay. Girl knows how to use a lasso, I gotta say.
She does.
There's a lot of lasso action in that trailer.
That they're really working that rope of truth or whatever it is.
And the tiara too. I mean, that was good.
She used the tiara to take out security cameras at the mall.
I think this looks really good. I think it's a completely different movie than the last one, which is what they really needed to do. It's a different era.
I don't think there's anything.
They're leaning into the
different
80s heavily.
Between World War I and the 80s, there's no two different things.
Exactly.
Than those things, and that's awesome.
Yeah. So, I think it looks good. She looks amazing.
She looks incredible in that costume, I gotta say.
So clearly, somehow Steve is brought back, and it appears he's brought back, like he's like revived somehow, and I don't know, it's a plot point, but like he's not like.
Do you think they wanted to keep that a secret? And I know photos of him on the set were leaked, but they know they had to put it out there, or you can't keep anything a secret. No, you nowadays, can't. I guess.
But clearly, it's not like he's been in hiding since World War I, because he's kind of got the Steve Rogers man out of time thing going. At one point he thinks that a trash can is a piece of artwork. So, and of course he's wearing a fanny pack, and we all know that
oh my God.
Immediately marks you as both a tool and someone who has no fashion sense. So, anyways,
that hits a little too close to home.
We got him. He came back.
Yeah. So something happened.
I think it looks great. I think it looks fun and great.
One thing I'll say about that trailer too is, I don't think I've ever seen a trailer where they timed the beats in the visuals to the music so well. I mean, the way when she goes to hit the bullet with her bracelet, and it's exactly to the beat, and all the machine guns are to the. It was I watched it a couple times just because I was blown away by how well it was edited.
You know what I love with that sequence too, Barry, is you don't see what happens with that bullet. Okay?
Right.
Or the cartridge, I should say. Because she ejects a cartridge and then she just hits it, and it's like, she just drove that into like somebody's forehead or did something with it. But you don't get to see it at that moment. You just know, it's like something cool's coming.
And the music was very well selected for that. It just fit perfectly. Because it's a classic 80s tune.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one. That one's going to be really good, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. So.
Yeah, there's not a lot of things that have gone back to the 80s, and I get, Stranger Things, obviously, but it's really, the mall, you can't be in the 80s if it doesn't involve a mall.
Exactly. There's just no two ways around it. So,
Pedro Pascal is in this too?
What's that?
Pedro Pascal
is
in this.
He plays Maxwell Lord, and it looks like he's like a I don't know, some kind of huckster self-help guru or something like this. So it'd be interesting to see what they do.
And Kristen Wiig is one of the bad guys, I guess.
Yeah, she's going to be Cheetah.
Sort of innocent there. I do like her. I think she's good in a lot of stuff.
Yeah. I think there's a lot that we haven't really seen here yet,
which is good. That's the way it should be.
It really should be.
When a trailer does its job, it gets you excited about it while giving away nothing, and that's really what I think this did.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
okay, next is Black Widow. That came out a couple weeks ago, which I was surprised we were getting one so soon, because we were like, when's it filming? Is it coming out? And here it is, and I thought it looked awesome too. Yeah,
I think so too. I love that they squeezed Red Guardian in there, literally. It's great. Yeah, the suit still fits. It's like, okay.
That's David Harbour.
That's David Harbour. Yeah.
So,
I thought it looked really good. I don't know that it feels incredibly Marvel to me, but maybe that's a good thing, because it's going to be a different kind of Marvel movie.
I think this is going to be a John Wicky kind of spy thing. It's going to be a very different sort of movie. If this is going to deal with her, her Red Ledger. It's going to deal with the bad that she's done and atoning for that. And
where do we place this on the timeline? This is before Infinity War?
This is just before Infinity War. And this is going to, and very well may set up someone to be a successor to her. Because the Elena Belova character, who's the other woman in this, was basically the Black Widow that the Russians set up to replace her after she defected. So, and her first mission was to kill our Black Widow.
And that's the one she calls sister?
And that's the one who showed up. Because they've been through the same training and all that kind of stuff. So,
I thought it was her actual sister.
No, so they have the same sort of, they have the exact same background.
Yeah, they were like those, yeah.
And again, they've done different incarnations of her backstory, but basically in the some of the comics, I mean, these kids are all orphans, and then they're brought into this program, this Red Room program, where they're trained to be assassins and have all these other skills. But you find out like many years later that part of the reason these are orphans is the kids are targeted for their abilities, and then their parents are killed, so that they have no connections.
Well, I would have figured that.
Yeah, but I mean, it's the because that way they're completely dependent on their and this. Like I said, I think there's a lot of good story here. We'll see. So it's
no, that did look good too.
Yeah, and it's nice to see that after all that time, she's finally at least getting her own starring role in one of these movies.
Right.
I think she earned it for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
So interestingly, there are scenes filmed, or there's something that they've been talking about this that something in this movie happens on the planet where she dies. So either this movie is like what she's thinking about as she's dying, or
that's interesting.
Yeah. So people have seen that. So they actually reshot scenes around that. So it'd be interesting to see how that ties in. Other people have theorized that she comes back to life, which I kind of at this point hope doesn't happen.
No, they can't do that.
But yeah,
there's speaking of the planet she dies on. There's some extra bonus scenes or deleted scenes on the Disney Plus version of Endgame that aren't on the Blu-rays and haven't been anywhere else before, and they've got some alternate sequences for that whole fight with her and Hawkeye, and originally shot with Thanos and his goons were there showing up as they were trying to decide who was going to go over, and they've got all that stuff on there with director's commentary and without. So there's some good stuff in that whole Endgame deleted scenes sequences. There's also one where Iron Man meets his older daughter as he's dying.
Yes.
In that when he snaps, he goes to this place where he meets his daughter when she's older, and she gives him permission to die, essentially. And so anyway, check it out. There's some good stuff there.
Yeah, I read about that, and they had gone through that, and they just said they tested that with audiences, and people just didn't get who it was. They found that they were too confused by there being two daughters.
And it slowed down that whole ending sequence in a way that it didn't need to. But that stuff, I always find that stuff interesting to watch sort of after the fact as, just wanting to know more about that stuff. So, yeah, it's worth going through that because there's some stuff there that isn't available anywhere else.
I mean, it's amazing that we had a 3-hour movie and there's all of these scenes that didn't make it in it. You know? So...
Well, and some of it was, from what the director said, some of it was that they just changed direction on stuff. So it wasn't that it would have ever ended up in the movie. It's they decided to go a different way, but they had already shot stuff. So
maybe someday we'll see the Snyder cut of Endgame, and it will be 12 and a half hours long. So
yeah.
All
right, one more trailer to go.
Is Ghostbusters Afterlife, which really just came out the other day. And I wasn't expecting a trailer for that either. That doesn't come out until July. So the way we've got James Bond in April, Black Widow in May, Wonder Woman in June, Ghostbusters in July. And I'm sure there's other stuff coming out too.
Can I just ask you guys, did you see anything in that trailer that you were expecting to see?
I did not know anything what direction they were taking.
I knew I'd see the Ecto-1 because that was all that was in that teaser that came out last year or earlier this year. But other than that, I didn't know what to expect.
I didn't know.
I think it looks really cool.
Kids.
It's very different than what I expected, and I'm glad it's not what I'm glad they just didn't hit the old concept again. And it's it looks like interesting.
I think Barry and I talked about this too, right?
A little bit.
It doesn't turn into like a Stranger Things thing, even especially with the kid from Stranger Things in the movie. Because there's sort of, I guess, the grandchildren of some of these people, of Egon for sure, and maybe someone else in this thing. So
you
Jason
think
Reitman knows what he's doing, right?
Basically, he took all the he basically put all the like ghosts they collected in like a vault or something, and it's leaking or something like that? I mean, does that seem like...
It seems like it. I mean, they said the whole town's shaking, so there's that. I just love that it seems like when they closed up shop, he took all this stuff out to a farm in the middle of nowhere and just buried it all.
Yeah.
But I thought Paul Rudd was great in what we've seen. He was,
Yeah, Paul Rudd, you can't go wrong with that. I think it'll be fun and funny, and this totally encouraged me.
Yeah, me too.
And not that I had any...
I would say after the
teaser.
Last debacle that none of us actually watched, I think they needed to do something completely different if they wanted to do anything with this franchise, and this looks like something completely different.
Yeah, this is one of those things that when it first announced, I said, yeah, I'll see it and I hope it's good, but it's one of those things I don't think needs to exist. And now, based on what I've seen, it looks like they may have taken a different angle on it that might make it really fit in well with the original movie. So, and if that's what they've done,
the
then
replica of the ghost trap thing. It's nice.
Yeah, he's like, it's a great replica.
They're giving us a world where the Ghostbusters are almost like mythological now because it was this thing, and awesome.
Well, and I just love that these kids who are at least one of them seems to be related to one of the original Ghostbusters, doesn't even know anything about it, and Paul Rudd's like showing it to him on YouTube like they've never even seen this stuff.
It's great. That's what I'm saying. It's awesome.
That's cool.
It's reverent of the original thing versus the last thing we got, which ignored the original thing. So, yeah, perfect.
Well, and I said to Dave, while it's maybe a minor thing, I just love that it's the Ecto-1 that they found in the barn and not the Ecto-2. I love that the kid realizes there's like a gunner seat on it. I mean, all that stuff. I loved it. I thought it was a great trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So, I guess there's probably plenty more movies, but we certainly got four pretty big ones. The summer season is pretty jam packed.
It is,
just those four. Yeah. So,
and because there's not 11 Marvel movies this year, something stands a chance. So,
is there only one? Is that it?
Yeah.
I guess that's the only Marvel movie. That's interesting.
What do we have DC next year? We have
we have Suicide Squad
2, but before that we have Birds of Prey or whatever that thing is being called. Yeah.
When's that thing coming out?
It's February, right? February or March?
I think so.
I'm really not interested. Does anyone even need to see that?
I'm going to see it, but yeah,
it's based on a good comic.
Just looking through other 2020 movies. King Kong versus Godzilla.
I thought I heard that got pushed back.
I don't know. It's just on the... I just looked... All right. We know the number one movie of the summer is, of course, Top Gun 2, Maverick. Very excited about that. Fast and Furious 9.
Yeah.
Why not?
So, that's the thing.
There's another Kingsman.
People love that series. I've only ever seen like one or two of them. People love that series for some reason.
I've seen this only one. Oh, Morbius supposedly comes out.
Okay.
I guess, that's really a Sony movie.
Birds of Prey is February 7th. New Mutants is coming out April 3rd.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. Yeah, Black Widow's in May.
You gotta be kidding
me. It's been postponed
July,
4 times now, so.
I forgot Jared Leto's in this. Jared Leto's Morbius.
Yeah.
Venom 2 is in October, apparently.
Oh,
God. I can't believe they're making a movie.
And then maybe The Eternals. The Eternals maybe comes out end of next year, November.
Eternals. What's the one that was on TV that we didn't like? The big dog? That's not the Eternals?
No, that's not the Eternals. That's the Inhumans.
Inhumans, Eternals.
Eternals is the one with
Fantasy Island.
It's a Fantasy Island
movie.
They're
making a movie of Fantasy Island?
It'll do as well as the last Charlie's Angels movie did.
I think it's a horror movie. Anyway, okay. Plenty of movies coming out. We did cover a lot of ground, so...
We did.
Crisis, let us know what you think. Tell us about Short Trek trailers. What's your favorite trailer so far? Let us know about all that stuff.
This was like a Seinfeld episode. We talked a lot about nothing.
That's right.
Exactly. Well,
that's
it's all about nothing.
Kind of like 316 episodes. So
yeah. I know we do have a last thought. So, Todd, why don't you kick us off on our last thought?
Yeah, this week there were a number of losses in the Trek world. Starting off, first of all, with DC Fontana, who is known to all of us as a major contributor to the original series, the animated series, Next Generation in the early stages. Just a kind of also a pioneer woman.
I was going to say groundbreaking.
This is a person who started as a secretary, and had to give up a paying job as a secretary to risk being a writer, she had a hand in a whole lot of stuff we liked from the 60s and 70s and $6 Million Man and all that kind of stuff. She wrote a lot of different
Rogers
things.
Is certainly very even into Next Generation. So someone in the early to mid 60s really going out there and breaking the mold of it's a man's world. So and
having to do it under her initials so that nobody knew that she was a woman.
Exactly. She had two other pseudonyms. She used both her initials and two other pseudonyms, which distances her from being named Dorothy, and that's what you had to do. But if you just you go down the she wrote everything, and she had no orientation to science fiction whatsoever before Roddenberry hired her, and she contributed some really great episodes. And
there was definitely some. Tomorrow's Yesterday.
Charlie X.
This Side of Paradise. The Stories for Journey to Babel, which is a pretty
hugely significant,
a pretty significant episode.
Yeah.
I was gonna say none of the crappy ones. Maybe The Way to Eden, but
she wrote 10 episodes of the original Trek, and she was a story editor for the first 2 seasons. And in that time period, for her to be able to do that, it was pretty remarkable. And then everything else that she went on to do. I mean, she was also involved in the animated series, I believe, as well. She wrote some of that.
Yeah.
You got an
and then
Emmy
when you look
the
at her IMDb.
Series. Yep.
I mean, it's even before Trek.
Worked on Deep Space Nine, Babylon 5, a whole lot of things. I actually this week watched her Star Trek New Voyages episode, which was the one where they got Walter Koenig to come up back and play aged Chekhov, and it was actually pretty good. And so that was the last thing she wrote, and so the last produced thing she wrote. So.
She also worked on Logan's Run TV show. I mean, like you mentioned a lot of them before, but it's when I'm looking at the IMDb now, and it's that time period. It's like everything that we were into when we were, or that was in our wheelhouse. It's just amazing how much stuff she worked on. So
yeah.
So, real groundbreaker.
So definitely someone who probably a lot of people owe her credit to. Sort of blazing the trail for women in television. So,
yep, no question.
Also, we lost Renee.
I'll do it. I think I know how to pronounce it. It's Renee Auberjonois, I believe is how you pronounce it.
That is correct.
I think you're as close as we're going to get. Who played Odo in Deep Space Nine.
Yep.
And a lot of other roles. I gotta say, I like Deep Space Nine better than either of you did. I think he did a great job. Every series has to have the alien character, and I mean alien not even in the sense of being an alien, but alien from humanity, in that there's got to be someone who you see as different, just so you can tell these stories. And it was it was Spock, and then it was Data, and then it came time for Odo. And of all of them, Odo never did not change as much as any of them. They all kind of developed their own kind of sense of humanity. And Odo was actually, despite having no sense of self, stayed very much Odo, and I give him a lot of credit for that. I think having a face that conveys no emotion whatsoever, but still being able to, get across what he did as an actor, but also, being kind of an iconoclastic character in the whole Trek series. I think, he did a good job with it. So when he was first announced, I was kind of like, the dude from Benson, but he was an interesting character, and he did it well.
He had a long and very successful career. I mean, you look at his credits, he had long-running parts on a lot of big shows. I mean, he was on Boston Legal for over 70 episodes. He was on, like you said, he was on Deep Space Nine, obviously, but Benson, 135 episodes. He had a long career. I mean, he goes pretty far back into the 60s. So, not a lot of the people, for better or for worse, that are sort of famous for being on Star Trek don't have huge careers outside of Star Trek, and he did. So,
yeah.
So, and he was in Batman Forever.
He
was, yes, yeah.
I don't know if I remember that, but
and I know you're right, Todd. I think you do like that show more than Dave or I, but he was one of the characters I always enjoyed the most on that show. So
yeah. And again, it's just it was a neat concept, and again, I think everyone expected him to be Data, and he wasn't, there was, I know from what I've read, there were pushes over the years to make him a different character than he was, and he resisted that because he thought that, there was should be certain constants to who he was, and not be that his appearance should be malleable, but his character shouldn't. So,
no, it's not easy to do. So
the other credited Trek actor that passed away last week was Robert Walker, who played the main, the title character in the Charlie X episode, the second episode of the original series, which DC Fontana wrote. It was her first. She has the screenplay credit for that episode. It was her first episode, and he did it. He was in a ton of different things over the years. Everything I ever saw him in, I said, that's Charlie X.
Oh yeah, he was very recognizable as Charlie X.
Super recognizable, and it was actually a really good episode, despite the fact that it was a almost direct lift from Stranger in a Strange Land. But it's anyways, it's so like
it just felt like almost every day this week that went by, we heard about somebody else.
Oh, I know, and then, and sadly, we're going to see even more of this because they're all getting, they're all in that age. These are all people that were in their 70s, and it's but
and the guy who played Big Bird, Carol Spiney,
right?
Yes,
that's the same.
Who we all just saw
just a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
Rhode Island, and he was not looking good. He was 85. He had some disease, but he passed away. I mean, there's an iconic character.
I saw some good interviews with him over the last week. There was a lot of tributes to him, and these people, these animators, we met a couple of them recently, and puppeteers, and had a chance to talk to them, and these people are really, really committed to what they do, and I cannot imagine get a lot of recognition for that. I mean, they're not the face that's associated with their work, and often they don't even have the voice that's associated with their work, because they're playing a character, so, but a lot of really nice tributes to him, so.
Yeah, I do think, Jim Henson has really expanded those people. I mean, you would have known, if it wasn't for what he made the Muppets, you would have known Frank Oz or Carol or any of these people. So rest in peace, everybody.
Yep.
Thank you for all the entertainment you've provided us.
Yes.
Yep. So next week, we're going to do some Star Wars thing. That will be the last episode we record before we see Star Wars. It'll come out after we see Star Wars, but we'll figure that out. And I hope you all seeing it the first week. I guess, I don't know what we're going to do after that. We'll figure that out because it is Christmas time. So whether...
We'll do an episode at some point before the end of the year where we talk about the Rise of Skywalker.
What could hopefully be
triumphant, happy
I don't even want to
podcast.
say. Hopefully it'll be something for sure.
Hopefully it won't be us crying over how crappy it was.
Barry
sure
will
it
like
won't
it
be.
no matter what, and then 2 years later he'll agree with us. But hopefully we all like it.
We'll wear
I'm
him
hoping
down.
we
No,
all like
it's
it.
It's going to be amazing. Okay, so
There we go.
That's the
Excellent.
right attitude to have.
And that is right.
yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.